And welcome to the Mind Your Career webinar series. My name is Rachel Burkhan-Ramelfinger, and I work with the Alumni Career Development Team here at the University of Chicago in Hyde Park. And I'm delighted to welcome you to the webinar entitled LinkedIn 101. Today's speakers are Michael Esposito and Michelle Gray, who both work at LinkedIn in the Chicago location. Michael has given this presentation over 25 times, including at the University of Chicago at the Center for Identity and Inclusion to LGBTQI identified students. I am excited to welcome Michael back and Michelle for the first time. When I asked them what they wanted to be when they grew up, Michelle said that she wanted to be a therapist and Michael wanted to be an OBGYN. Seems their path has taken them a little different direction, but I'm excited that they're here to be experts for us today. Before I hand the controls over to them, I'm going to launch a couple polls for you all. The first one is, do you have a LinkedIn account? Just select yes or no to let our presenters know what we're working with. We'll give you all a few more seconds. About 75% of us have answered. All right, and the majority of us, 94%, do have a LinkedIn account, but 6% don't. So this will be great. We'll help you get started. How often do you use your LinkedIn account? Once a week, daily, once a month? Not since I created the account? We're about 70% have voted, so I'll give you all a few more seconds. All right, and so the majority of folks are split between once a week and daily, and then we go to 20% as once a month, and 6% not since I created the account. So a lot of you are using it on a weekly or daily basis. Here's another yes or no question. Have you used LinkedIn for your job search? And the answer to this is 69% of us have, but 31% of us have not. Have you used LinkedIn for networking and news? And we can see that 40% of us have used it for networking, 6% use it for news, another 40% say for both news and networking, and 14% do not use LinkedIn for networking or for news. Have you used LinkedIn for recruiting? Yes, no, or I would be interested in using it for recruiting. All right, have you used it for recruiting? 15% said yes, 75% said no, and 10% would be interested to learn more about how they can use LinkedIn for recruiting. And how do you decide who to connect with on LinkedIn? Anyone in your field, people you've worked with in the past, folks you want to get to know better? All right, we can see that 21% of us connect with people in their field, about 60% connect with people from their past, and 21% for folks that you want to get to know. And now we're going to jump to our final question. Does anyone have experience with using a premium LinkedIn options? All right, and this last question for if you've used premium options, 65% said no and 35% said yes. Now, after that we've finished this poll, I'm going to hand the controls over to Michael and Michelle.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you everybody for answering all of those questions. So as Rachel had mentioned, I've done this several times, so over 20 different times, and each time it's a little bit different. And so for Michelle and I, we were kind of working through what content to really include here, and we want to give everybody on the call, since everybody has a variety of backgrounds, we want to make sure that each of you finds value in this. So we wanted to put these series of questions up front so that we can really know where to focus our time. So thank you again for answering those questions right off the bat. It sounds like for the majority, 94% at least, have a LinkedIn. For those who do not have a LinkedIn, you're going to learn a lot today, and hopefully you take a ton away from this. For those of you who have used Premium in the past, that's great. We'll mention and we'll reference a couple pieces at the end here too, just around like Premium profiles. But what Michelle and I will also offer in the end here too is, of course, the opportunity to connect with us. And if there are any ways that we can help you beyond today's conversation, please do feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, and we can make sure to either help you ourselves or put you in touch with the right person who can assist you. So I guess to introduce myself really quickly, so I've been with LinkedIn for about 3.5 years now. Before that, I was working for a staffing and recruiting firm, did that for a couple of years, and before that, I was at a marketing agency doing something completely different. So here at LinkedIn, I work within our Talent Solutions division, and I work with organizations specifically to help them with their recruitment practices. With that, though, we definitely help in regards to their branding and marketing, as well as their sales processes as well. So my role here at LinkedIn is really to work with our clients as a consultant and to make sure that they're leveraging LinkedIn to the best of their ability.
And I am Michelle Gray. I actually am a relationship manager as well too. Michael and I actually sit on the same team, so I do exactly what he does as well. A little bit about my background. I'm actually new to the industry. I actually joined the LinkedIn family a little over a year ago in January of 2017. Prior to that, I did a small stint at Grainger, and then majority of my career was with Staples, working in the business-to-business segment. So my career is based off of sales, and really excited to be here at LinkedIn.
Awesome. All right. Jumping in. Just 1 second. There we go. All right. So for today's agenda, we'll have just a broad LinkedIn overview. And from there, we'll jump into what we like to call the Rock Your Profile. So for those of you that have LinkedIn already, hopefully you'll take some pieces just around to make your profile stand out. And for those of you who don't have a LinkedIn currently, you're going to learn a lot. From there, we're going to talk a little bit too about becoming a brand ambassador. So I think I had mentioned that because everybody's coming from different backgrounds and has different experiences with LinkedIn, we wanted to include a little bit just around how you not only represent yourself, but also might be representing the organization that you may work for or may want to work for in the future. And then from there, we'll just talk a little bit about LinkedIn Premium, so our premium offerings, some online offerings that kind of help you to get what you want out of LinkedIn. So we'll share a little bit around that, and then finally end too with some Q&A. And again, if we're unable to, I know there's several people on the call today, so if we're unable to get to your questions, please again feel free to reach out to us separately, and we can answer those beyond the call today.
Okay, so this is a snapshot of the LinkedIn network. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network. Currently, there are over 540 million members utilizing the platform in over 200 countries, with 2 new members joining the network every second. And as you can see here from our slide, more than half of the members are utilizing or accessing the platform via their mobile devices.
Yes, what's actually great about this, for those of you who may not, it's interesting. Before coming into the office today, so I Ubered into work, and I was chatting with somebody who knew that LinkedIn was in the building that we're in, and so we just kind of got to talking a little bit about the platform, and he was like trying to sell me on it. I was like, well, I already work there, sir. I'm definitely aware. I enjoy LinkedIn, but he said he comes across individuals who might be worried or concerned about building a profile. I think with privacy, especially with some of the Facebook stuff that's going on right now, there's a worry, and people like their own privacy. And LinkedIn really tries to maintain a professional footing. So if we look at our network, so 133 million just in the United States, or it's more than that now, but that's over 85% of the professional workforce is on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn too, you have the benefit of really presenting yourself in a professional way, and you have a lot of control there over what's presented about you. So if you are or do have that kind of concern, know that the majority of the professional workforce is on the platform, and actually having a presence will and should only benefit you or be to your benefit, especially if you're looking to network and stay up to date with your industry and network beyond like your current state.
So before we walk you through on how to create an awesome profile, we thought it would be important to walk through what our mission and vision is. So as you can see here, our mission is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. And our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. This ties in perfectly with our global economic chart. And what that is basically a digital representation of how our jobs and our employers and open jobs work well with the open positions that are out there. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I think that's a great description. So I think one of the reasons Michelle and I both enjoy working for LinkedIn is because of this mission. I love using this example. So of course, it may become a little bit more clear when you think about abroad or in some areas where, in Africa, that's a big place where we're trying to support and help connect people with opportunity, right? But one example I like to share to kind of bring to light what this economic graph might look like, or how we're helping the world at scale, is we're partnering actually with the Colorado or the Colorado government. So what was really interesting is that there was a huge demand for college graduates, and there was about 50%. They were having like a 50% gap in the open positions and the types of skills that they were looking for to fill those positions. So they turned to us to kind of solve or help solve for that problem. And so, obviously this is a much longer conversation, but a piece of that is helping them to say, okay, so where is this skills gap? What is the population? What skills do they have in Colorado? If they aren't in Colorado, can we find them and find that population elsewhere and bring them to the state? Or can we take your current community, your current population, and elevate them, give them the skills that they need to fill the types of roles that your companies are demanding? So with our economic graph, we are able to kind of figure out and help governments to solve these types of issues.
Yeah. And as we receive those insights, then we're better able to connect people with economic opportunities.
Mm-hmm. So, building a great profile. Some of this may seem basic, but for those of you who don't have a profile yet, this will bring or shine a little light onto why it's important to have some of the kind of main features. An image. So having a professional photo is actually very important, especially if you're trying to network with others or maybe find your next position. What we found is that if you do have a photo, people are getting 14 times more views than people who do not have a photo. If you think about this in other ways too, if you were to get like maybe a connect request or somebody was requesting to add you to their personal network, if there's not a picture or a face to really connect to that name, there's just a lot less likelihood that somebody's going to interact with you. So number one, first and foremost, making sure that you have a professional photo is really important. Now, going into that a little bit more, what is or what defines a professional photo? It can vary. So that said, I think with smartphones nowadays, if we look at our Apple iPhone or your Droid or whatever or Android, whatever type of phone you're using, the cameras are excellent. So if you were to take, yourself, put yourself in front of a blank back wall, so a white, a blank color, a flat color, you can get a professional enough photo to feature on LinkedIn. Now, if you look at Michelle or I's photos, we have the added benefit of working at LinkedIn. So about every quarter, we have somebody come in and take our pictures, which is nice. But one thing that even our CEO recommends and says, if you have a smartphone, you can take a professional photo.
And I would also like to add to parents that are out there of humans and of animals. It is not professional to have your children in your profile picture. Believe us, we've seen many of those.
Yeah. We've seen people with horses, and it's just, unless you're trying to be an equestrian or maybe a professional babysitter, then you may want to feature them. If you could feature them in your photo. Aside from that, probably leave them out of your professional photo.
Okay, so after you've added that professional photo, you next would want to write an attention-grabbing headline. So this should be a brief summary as to what you do, and basically this is the hook to get the viewer interested in a little bit more about yourself. This is where you'll show your passion and value pretty much in a one-line sentence.
Yeah, so this is the first thing if somebody were to search for you. So let's say you are interested. It sounds like, I think it was over 60% used LinkedIn for finding a job in the past. If you think about this and you are leveraging it to find a job, our recruiters on the platform are able to search and find you. And so the first thing that they see when they're using our software is going to be your picture, your name, and the subject line. So writing that headline is key. It's that first impression that our members are getting of you. And so I guess from that too, jumping into drafting a compelling summary. So once they click on your profile, they'll see, of course, the image, the headline, but the first section is going to be your summary. So this should be written in first person. So you're telling a little bit about your professional background and a little bit about who you are as an individual as well. So keeping it to about 3 paragraphs is good. You do want to include enough to where people know who you are, but it doesn't need to be a full resume. It's an introduction to who you are as a professional and as an individual. Depending on what you're using this for too, so let's say you are trying to seek a job, cater that to whatever position you're trying to look for. So let's say right now you're a sales manager in the tech space, but maybe you want to jump industries and be a sales manager in a different industry. Sharing context around what might appeal to that separate industry is going to work in your favor. So again, just catering that summary to the audience to work in your benefit. Let's say you're happy where you are and you don't want to move and you just want to use this as a networking platform. Type it out just kind of like it would be an introduction to who you are as an individual. So your professional background, and again, just a little bit about your personality and who you are. One thing that we like to share too is I think when you're typing out your CV, it's nobody's favorite thing to do to type about themselves or say like what they're great at. Well, not everybody likes doing that. I think we've gotten maybe used to it a little bit, but so show rather than typing buzzwords. So I think you can kind of fall into that trap of saying things like specialized or I'm a leader, which sounds good, but of course, let's say you were looking for a position as a leader in a different organization. If somebody were seeking you out, I think that they would hope that you had leadership skills, right? So maybe painting that out a little bit more. So such as instead of saying, you have leadership skills or your, experience in leadership, you've led a team for the past 5 years and have exceeded quota by 20% year over year. In that time, you've helped 20 people not only grow, but 5 people were promoted. Kind of spell out a little bit what gives you that ability to say that you are a leader. So again, rather than kind of falling onto these what we call buzzwords, make sure that you're spelling it out and telling that story of who you really are.
So detailing your past work experience is crucial. We know that there is a lift 12 times more profile views if you do have more than one of your past experiences listed in your summary, which is awesome. So as Michael mentioned before, you do not want to add your resume here or a lot of data dumping. It should be precise and a brief summary of your past experience. And one call out that we would like to mention when you're including your past employers, as you begin typing, there will be a drop down list where you can select your previous employer. Please make sure that you do that because as you may know that there are a lot of duplicate company names that are out there. We want to make sure that you're tagged with the appropriate employer.
Good point. So part of this too, so within that section of showcasing your experience, you can actually add rich media to your brand as well. So including videos, including PowerPoint presentations that might showcase who you are and what you've done in the past is going to work in your benefit too. If you were to go visit my profile, I don't have personal videos. I'm not currently necessarily seeking an outside opportunity, although maybe I should probably feature some of the things that I've done. What I do have on there though are pieces and videos about my current organization. So when we talk about being a brand ambassador in a little bit, I chose to represent my organization. So I have a video about the economic graph from our CEO, as well as some another video regarding what LinkedIn is all about, our mission and our vision. So if you are somebody like myself, where maybe you don't want to feature some things that you've personally done, feel free to feature things about your organization in this section as well.
So this is a snapshot of what a completed profile looks like, and this is an example of our CEO, Jeff Weiner. So a few call outs here, as you can see on the top left, above Jeff's head, there's a custom header image. So you can customize your background of your page, which is a little more attractive and more appealing as well too. Profile summary, as well as your background summary. What's nice about LinkedIn is that you also have the ability to post original content that you can share with followers and your connections.
Yeah, so to kind of piece this all together, let's say again, if you're trying to remain private and you don't want to be found, this is maybe not for you, but there are settings within LinkedIn. If you did want to remain more private, you can actually switch them. We don't have a slide featuring that. Happy to answer questions beyond this, but you can actually go into the settings and make yourself as visible or turn off as much as you want. But since the majority of you, it sounds like, have used this in the past for trying to seek a career, this is going to help you be found. So if I were to Google my name, the more that I was to feature on my LinkedIn profile, the more likely I am to pop up here, right here in a Google search. So this is just an example of a separate individual, obviously, too. But if some of you do have a well built out profile, I'd encourage you to maybe go check it out and test it yourself. Go ahead and Google your name, and I bet what you'll find is in the top 3 sections, you're going to find at least one of them to be your LinkedIn profile. So again, if you're trying to be found, if you're trying to network, if you're trying to stay present, having that well built out profile is just going to work in your favor, so that you are coming up when people are trying to search for you.
So leveraging the network goes along well with having that profile created. We know that the more first-degree connections that you have organically grows your second-degree connections that you have access to. Michael and I were actually chatting a little bit about best practices or the protocols as it relates to accepting connection requests. And we both agreed that, and it basically sounds like as well too from the poll, that majority of you are connecting with past employees. Which is kind of something what we do as well too. And if we see that there's a connection, best practices to connect as well too. Michael shared with me, I don't know if you want to share with them, if you don't know who they are, we basically won't accept them.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. So who do you want to be in your network, right? So it's up to you, and who you want to connect with. If you're not on the platform, and you do build a profile, you'll probably experience this. And if you do have a profile, then you've probably experienced this. But maybe you've gotten a connect request from somebody that you've not connected or that you've maybe never met before. My kind of way of evaluating this, and I used to be a little bit more loose in my previous career, but what I've learned is having an extremely broad network isn't necessarily working to my advantage. It's just creating a little bit more noise. So now in my evaluation of who I want to connect with, let's say it's somebody that I've not met before. I may go look at their profile. If they work within my industry or I think that maybe they could elevate my career, I'll potentially connect with them and shoot them a message asking them, hey, thank you for the connect request. I saw that you have X title and work at this organization. Was there any reason that you were reaching out or wanting to connect? It sounds like maybe we have some similarities and would love to grab coffee. Or if it's somebody, of course, where if I have several mutual connections, I might inquire about that as well. But what I've started to do is I've gotten some requests where, it might be from abroad or somebody looking to really just build their network. I've started to essentially decline them. So I've been and become a little bit more picky in who I'm adding to my own personal network. With that too, I think I'll add that I do go out and I am proactive in some cases to try to network with people as well. So I've searched for people within similar groups that I work within. So I think Rachel had shared that I had a similar presentation for those. It was specifically your LGBT club at the University of Chicago. And I was actually connected to them because I had reached out through a group on LinkedIn, an LGBT networking group. I was building out a panel. Somebody from the University of Chicago came to that panel that I had put together. I'd found by finding them on LinkedIn through that mutual group connection, and then ended up presenting because of that. So added somebody to my professional network that ended up coming and serving as a panel discussion, and then now I'm here today probably because of that whole string of events of me reaching out to and connecting with somebody that was within the space, within my industry, within somebody I wanted in my network, but I didn't personally know before finding them on the platform. So jumping into the actual profile, so there's a lot going on here, right? So for those of you that have not used LinkedIn yet, this may seem a little bit busy or a little bit overwhelming, but wanted to walk you through just quickly a couple of the key features. This is what you see when you first log into LinkedIn. So if you were to create your profile and build it out, every time you log in, this is the view that you're seeing. So to point out like a couple of these items, again, so I had mentioned searching for somebody and finding somebody within a similar group as myself. Up in the search bar, this is going to help you find really whatever you're looking for. It could be specifically an individual. It could be an organization, so you can look up companies straight from that search bar. You can look up different groups. So essentially anything that you're trying to look for on the platform, you would use, just like a Google search, you would use the LinkedIn search for. What's interesting too is, so this is Andrew, so he's a colleague of ours. If you see on his profile, you'll actually see like who or how many people have viewed your profile, and you'll see like who's also viewed posts. So we'll talk about posts in a second. But from there, LinkedIn will kind of update you on how often you're being seen. And this is great for somebody that is looking for a career, or let's say you're in sales too. This is great for that type of individual too. You can actually see, if we were to click into that, you can see what types of industries people come from that are looking at your profile. If you're trying to stay, if you don't have the settings on, you can actually see who specifically looked at your profile. For those of you who have not used LinkedIn yet, or maybe are newer to LinkedIn, if you want to, you can go into your settings section and actually change that. So if you don't want people to know if you're going to look at them, you can actually turn that off so people do not know that you're looking at them. That said, you can use it to your advantage as well. If I were personally searching for a job, I would want to know, or I would want a recruiter to know that I was checking them out, or maybe a hiring manager to know that I was checking them out, especially if I'm trying to network within that organization. So it can work to your advantage, but you can definitely hide that if you'd like. Going kind of beyond that again, so right here in this section, sharing content is going to be your best friend if you're trying to expose yourself to the platform. So if you were to share an article, a photo, a video, anybody that is within your network, it's going to populate within their news feed. So from there too, you'll see a little section called Write an Article. What's really great, or actually I didn't even know this before working at LinkedIn, and it's kind of climbed to this status since I've been here too, but it's the #1 website in the United States for content, so for news-related content and articles. And a large piece of that is any member can become an author themselves. So you can go on here and write any type of article that might be relevant to you. So for example, I've used this section in talking about, so I lead at LinkedIn the Outed In, which is our LGBT employee resource group. So I did an article just around hiring and helping LGBTs in the workplace, and what having somebody out in the workplace means. And so encouraging that, having an open environment, and what that means for the bottom line for organizations. So that's just an example of something that I've written to try to be a thought leader in the space, and hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea on what you could potentially write about in your space as well. If we go then up at the top as well, it's pretty intuitive once you're on and you've logged in. It becomes fairly intuitive, but just to point out a couple things, you can always go and view who's in your current network by clicking on your network. From there, you can choose to remove people if you'd like, or add others as well. From there too, you'll actually see this messaging button. So this is how we communicate on the platform. So if you've used Facebook, if you don't have LinkedIn and you've used Facebook, then maybe you've used Facebook Messenger. But essentially, if you were to go into this messaging piece, you'll see all your past messages, who you've communicated with, and you can actually see too who's online within your network and who's not. So you can actively communicate with people within your network live. From there too, you'll see up at the top this notification section. So the notifications will just be what's going on. So it'll suggest jobs that are actually maybe relevant to you. Other notifications, maybe if someone were to like or comment on something that you shared, you'll get notified about that. And it'll notify you about things within your network too, such as like birthday. So if somebody were to include their birthday in their profile, you'll get a notification if it's somebody's birthday as a suggestion, like, hey, might as well reach out to this person in your network and say happy birthday. So it gives you suggestions too on what's going on within your network and gives you reasons to reach out to your audience. And then beyond that too, I think I mentioned a couple times just the settings section. So if you did want to change anything within your profile, or if you wanted to make yourself a little bit more private, less easy to find, you would go into this Me section, and that's where you would select your settings, where you can select your privacy and how you want to be viewed on the platform.
And to add to that, under that section as well too, you do have the ability to, raise your hand to state that you are open to new opportunities. What's nice about this is that your current employer does not have access to see your profile that you have raised your hand. So this is also great as you're looking for new opportunities.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so we talked about in the beginning that we mentioned, so this is kind of a change or a redirection in the conversation that we've been having a little bit. There will be some related pieces too, as we've referenced a little bit, but so what is this idea or this concept of being a brand ambassador? So in my current organization at LinkedIn, I mentioned just sharing some of the pieces on my personal profile, so just the videos about the economic graph, as well as a couple other pieces. Three things that I also pay attention to. So I would like to be a good brand ambassador for LinkedIn. So three things that I'm really paying attention to. I'm following my company's page, right? So with that, I'm getting industry news. I'm getting updates about what's going on at LinkedIn. I'm also following other organizations as well. So other organizations in the industry. So I'm constantly getting news and updates from organizations, but also from influencers as well. So if you were to follow Jeff Weiner, he's an influencer on the platform. He's somebody that's consistently posting, and so I get notified when he shares content. So with that, I'm trying to share out content that is relevant to my industry, to me, and what I think my audience would be interested in as well. From there to our job opportunities. So if we think about different jobs that are posted on LinkedIn, I'm able to easily go in there and click and share jobs at LinkedIn with my network. I know a lot of my friends and several, I love working for LinkedIn, so a lot of people in my network do know that. So usually they're curious about when LinkedIn's hiring. So as frequently as I can, without being overwhelming, you know, I try to share those opportunities with my network when I can. So if I were to go straight to that company page, I can see the list of jobs that my company is listing, and I can share them out to my network straight from that page. So to keep, to build off of that a little bit, not only am I benefiting LinkedIn, but I'm also benefiting myself because I'm staying active within my own network, right? So I have recruiters that will reach out to me with emails. I don't want to say all the time, that might be dramatic, but semi-frequently. So maybe once a week, I'll get a message from a recruiter trying to recruit me to their organization. Sometimes I take the call and sometimes I don't. But a lot of that exposure that I gain or the reason that I'm getting those messages is because I'm consistently sharing on the platform. So the more active I am, the more likely somebody's to notice me and reach out for a potential opportunity. And although I love LinkedIn, it's also wonderful to know your own worth. And there are opportunities I'm sure that I don't know about that, hey, who knows, maybe one day I'm ready to make that move. And so staying active on the platform not only is benefiting my company today, but it's benefiting me now and down the road as well.
So when we talk about LinkedIn Premium, I think the poll reported back that 65% do not have a premium account. So for those of you, I would say maybe it is worth looking into. There are quite a few benefits affiliated with the premium membership. And my favorite that comes top of mind to me is the job analytics. When you're viewing a job or applying for a job, you can actually see who your stat ranked against as it relates to those who are also applying, as well as employees at that organization, how you compare as it relates to skill set, education. What else is nice about this is that you have the ability to view who's viewed your profile within the last 90 days. Without the premium membership, I believe it's only the last 5 people that viewed your profile. So there are quite a few other benefits that are affiliated with premium as well too, to power your professional life as well as accelerating your career. Anything you want to add to premium?
No, I think that's great. Maybe, so if you were, I think some people had mentioned that they had leveraged using the platform for recruiting or might be interested in recruiting as well. Some of these premium options could be right for you. Of course, you'll see in the bottom left the find talent piece. That said, if you work for an organization or a corporation that might be looking for this type of solution, please do reach out to Michelle or myself, and we can put you in touch with the right person. Our online premium products can be great. I think just for like networking and personal reasons, it can be a really good solution, but we do have other corporate solutions beyond the online products that usually are a better fit for our corporate customers. So if you are thinking about leveraging something for the benefit of your organization, please do connect with Michelle or myself. And again, we'll make sure to put you in touch with the right person, because the right solution might not be the online solution. And there we are, yeah. So with that, yes, please do connect with us. There's not too many Michael Espen Sheeds on LinkedIn, so you'll probably find me pretty easily.
And there are a lot of Michelle Grays out there, but you have our pictures to find us easily.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I believe we were going to leave a little bit of time for Q&A. I think we can maybe look at a couple of these in here.
I can help moderate that for you, Michael.
Oh, great. Okay.
So we just had one that was just about the premium features, and are there any stats for those who are job hunting about whether a premium account results in a shorter job hunt versus a regular LinkedIn account?
That's a great question. So I do not have the stats. All we have is I've heard positive feedback, right? And so for somebody using that Job Seeker Plus, I know that it can be really beneficial. That said, Rachel, if we tried to look into what those stats might be and circle back, would you be able to send out that answer?
Yes, I would be able to.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to circle back on that one. Yeah, because we've heard positive things, but I'm sure we have tons of data, so I'm sure we can find specific stats for that question.
We had a couple questions about can you sort of control who can see different things that you're sharing. So there were some questions about how do you limit, or is there a way to create subgroups of people who can see your updates or what you're posting? And how can you hide if you've raised your hand to indicate that you're looking for a new job from the people you currently work with? Are there any features about keeping private your notifications and your shares?
Yeah, so I'll take the last question. So under settings, if you click on the picture of yourself on the top of the screen and go to settings, you will be able to flag that you are interested in open opportunities. And what's nice about that is your current employer they don't have visibility into that. So they can't see that you've raised your hand that you're open to new opportunities.
Yeah, so that open to new opportunities is actually built in on the back end. So nobody on the platform with a regular profile can actually see it. The only people who are going to see that you're open to new opportunities would be people using our recruiter product. So it's a corporate product that we have. that, again, as Michelle mentioned, are not at your current organization. So me working at LinkedIn, I have the open to new opportunities flagged as open. And so if my LinkedIn recruiters were to go on and look for me, I would not populate within that search. They could not see that I was open to new opportunities. So really the only people that, again, are able to see it are people with access to the recruiter tool that are not working at your current organization. Nobody else can see it.
Great clarification.
And then the first question was settings and who can see your posts and whatnot. So if you were to share content, essentially anybody within your network is able to see that. So if you were to share a certain update, there's no way to specifically target certain people within your personal network who are going to see that. If you share the update, people within your network are going to see that. If you're getting additional noise, so let's say that you are seeing posts from people within your network that you don't want to be seeing, you can actually hide those types of things as well. You can always take somebody out of your network and then you won't see that. But there are ways to, if you clicked on a post from a certain individual, where you could hide that individual's post, for example, moving forward. But there's no way for you to, there's no way for an individual, for me to say, okay, I only want these 10 people in my network to see it. Everyone's going to see it if you share it.
So another question we've had is, if I'm searching for my next full-time role, is there a target number of profile views I should aim for every day, every week, every month?
That's a good question. So let me repeat it back. So if you're trying to search for a new job, is there a certain number of profiles you should be connecting with, or is that?
Now, how many views for their own profile? So like, how much should you be posting?
Oh, that's a great question. So, and that's tough too, because if you're getting a bunch of views from people that aren't relevant, who cares? So there's no target number there. It's really going to depend on your network. So I have over 2,000 connections, which again, as I had said, is probably a little too many. So if I'm getting views from, I'm probably getting less relevant views, but maybe have a higher volume. If you're somebody with a network of, let's say, 400 people that are all relevant to you, 10 profile views, right, are going to be more valuable than 100 that I might be getting. But if you're looking for like a view rate, so you can see like what your rate is, so if somebody's looking at it and like clicking on, let's say, a status update, a good benchmark to have is around like 1%. And that would be really good. It's way above industry standard. But if you're getting about 1% viewings on the content that you're sharing, that's good. And that's for personal sharing, not like if you were sharing from your organization.
That's great. We've had a bunch of questions about how is the LinkedIn profile sort of different than a resume. So one person said they're applying for, a few different positions that do vary, and they normally would tailor their resume, but how do they do that with only one LinkedIn profile? And someone else said, should I be uploading my resume? And again, how does it compare to the detail that I should have in my resume versus having on LinkedIn?
Yeah, we talked about this, like with your summary.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I think, and it sounds like with this question specifically, it's like, okay, if I have if I'm trying to go maybe one of two paths, like how do I cater that? And the answer would be, it's a little bit more challenging, right? So with your resume, you can upload it to your profile. So you can attach it to your profile, and we do recommend that, especially if you are trying to seek a new position. If you're trying to get into two totally different career paths, that's going to be harder to recommend on, because you're right, there is only one profile that you can have. The best, and probably the only, but maybe not the best advice, or the advice that maybe you'd be looking for, is try to cater to both audiences. So make it a little bit more general, where on your resume, of course, you're going to have bullet points on exactly like, if you're an experienced Java developer, you're going to have your experiences listed on your resume, where maybe you list that as a skill on your profile and just be a little bit more general as far as what you've done in your work experience. So make sure that if you are looking for two different routes, or you could potentially go two different routes, that it's just left a little bit more general, that would appeal to both audiences.
Do you have any advice for folks who maybe had a career break or are new in their career, so they don't have as many job opportunities, past job experiences to list on their profile, what they might do to make themselves attractive?
Yeah, so a great piece. So our fastest or growing demographic right now are like college students. So of course, college students are not going to have a ton of work experience, but if you've had internship experiences, of course, list those. If you've gained any awards or recognitions, you can actually list those on your profile as well. So if you've done anything like great at your university, let's say, and you can list those skills, please do that. Another big piece that we didn't talk about as well, but like volunteer pieces, actually we see an uptick if you've done volunteer work. Include that. People get a lot more views if you have that. And then I think maybe the final thing, and I'll let you fill in any gaps that I might have, would be the recommendations piece. So you can have actually, and you can ask somebody to recommend you or give you a recommendation on your profile. I have 2 past managers as well as a colleague, and maybe actually 3 past managers and a colleague who have given me recommendations on my profile. So maybe you have a professor or somebody that you have worked with in the past that could give you a recommendation. Do that. You can ask for and request recommendations. All of those things are going to help you enhance your profile. And Michelle, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point about even being broad with what you post on your profile, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is a new industry for me, talent acquisition. So not that I struggled, but this was a completely different segment. Although it still sells, it's completely different. And I did some of those things as well too. So there is opportunity out there for you to do so.
Can you talk a little bit about the use of keywords to help LinkedIn suggest more appropriate job openings for you?
Yeah. So it's interesting that we talked about using keywords or buzzwords earlier. So the way our algorithm works has a lot to do with job title. So that's going to be big. So making sure that, let's say you were going to work into sales, for example. I think at Google, they might call their salespeople like architects or something. So listing that title on your profile is probably going to confuse our algorithm. So when it comes to job titles, we recommend using those that are within the industry. So relationship manager is pretty popular in the Chicago area. And it depends on the region too, but it's pretty popular as a sales title within in our market.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get relevant jobs. So make sure that your title is on par with the market. I think if you're not sure, or if you're unsure, is if you went into use a search bar on your LinkedIn network and search for different jobs, like sales job, for example, you're going to see common titles populate that are in your specific region. Within Chicago, you can start to see like a common thread. So use that too. The other piece as well is beyond that too, I always suggest on your particular industry as well, going in and looking at what other companies are posting and what are they saying in their job description will also suggest keywords as well. A final piece too is, I don't know if any of you use Microsoft 360, but our jobs are actually being integrated with Microsoft Word. And so as you're building out your resume, it's going to pull from your LinkedIn profile to compare you to others and suggest keywords to populate within your resume as well. So hopefully that gives a little bit of insight. If you had any further questions, of course, again, connect with us.
Sounds good.
And then do we have time
Great.
for, we're at 12:56. Do we have time for one more question, or do we
I
need
think
to?
we'll want to end it because I think we might go over if we take another one, but
Yeah.
there's still lots of questions and I can share those with you all after this
Yeah.
to get some responses for follow-up. I want to thank everybody for participating and joining us today. A special thank you to both Michael and Michelle for giving us this instructive and practical presentation. I know I'm going to go implement some of these tips today. So thank you both so much. For those listening, join us later this month. We're going to focus on government professions near the end of the month, hearing about a career in the Foreign Service and how one achieves the rank of Chicago Alderman. And in May, we're going to switch gears and focus on the C-suite. So I hope you'll take care and have a great rest of your day, and make sure to connect with Michael and Michelle on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone.
Bye.